as you've seen from the thumbnail, we're doing the Brembo front upgrade. Hit the subscribe button now. Don't forget to check out our back channel. Welcome back to the Utilist Garage. Today we're going to This is the original non-Brembo setup, which is a hell of a lot smaller, as you could see in that picture a minute ago. We are going to do a comparison over in a second, but this is what we're going to get up to. We're going to remove these, change the discs over, and obviously we're going to put in new lines. We're putting in another hell braided front line. Okay, let's go and have a look at the comparison. This is the original to the Brembo. There's a lot of difference. Obviously these are a 4-pot Brembo caliper. This is a single pot. So they're supposed to be a lot better. You can also see the difference. If I put up, this is one of the front discs. I've already done the other side. And this is the new disc. You can see there's a hell of a lot of difference in size in there. So we're going to use a 22mm to get this undone. We are going to take off this line. We're going to try to get the new line in so we don't lose too much fluid. Don't want to lose it all over the floor. Not worried about replacing it, just I don't want to get it all over the floor. 22mm loose. Now we need to use the 10mm on the top and the 17mm on the bottom to loosen off at the top to hold it still, 17 at the bottom. There we go, and she's open. Okay, now we're going to take off this clip. Let's just move our light out of the way for a minute so we don't damage it. This just wiggles out. Okay, this is the clip out. I'm going to leave that on there so I don't lose it. Right, so this is now nice and loose. So we can go back in and undo our line totally. Obviously the hard line stays in place and this braided line comes out. So I've left the reservoir cap done up because that means we won't lose very much fluid. Just going to push this through the hole and just start tucking it in there. It should always be really free of movement. Don't go cross-threading anything. There you go, look, you can see how free that is. It's literally just screwing in. Okay, so we're just going to tighten that up. I'll show you up close what I've just done. So I've just undone this, removed the original and just put our new line, which is connected to our new Brembo down here, just so we're not leaking fluid all over the floor. Okay, and now I'm going to be undoing this 22mm, and there's another 22mm down the bottom. Hopefully you can see, which is just here. I'm going to undo those, then this caliper is going to come off, disc is going to come off, we're going to put the new disc on, put the new caliper in place. I'm going to show you the discs, pins and pads, how they all go in, and then we'll be able to bleed the system. Let's give the new disc a clean down with some brake cleaner. Straight over. So the fronts are exactly the same fit now. No need to change bolts, no need to change anything really. So now we're going to slide our caliper on and slide one of those bolts in just to hold it in place. Now I've already got the pads. Well, as we've got the caliper in the kitchen, I'll show you how these pads go in. Actually, they've got little grooves down here and they literally slide down the grooves and they sit like that. Okay, and again, the same thing with the top one, it just slides in, he says, as he drops it. It just literally slides down, okay? Now you do have these pins. So these pins slide through the holes, right? Make sure you always clean these off when you're taking them out because they do get all gunked up. Try to keep this pinhole pointing upwards. Okay, line up the first one and get it in. Now what I do is I get the little clip, pad where it should be, and we've now got one of the poles in, which hold obviously the pads in. So you can see, nice and tight. Okay, but what we now need to do, I've just slid them out now. Slid it out of its, there we go. Right, so I'm holding that up at the moment because I'm trying to show you. So then we've got a spring. Now this spring holds the pads exactly where it should be. Okay, well, not only does it do that, or how we've got to put in the other pin to hold them in place. So I'm going to push down on the spring and push my pin through. Again, keeping that little pinhole at the top. Okay, they slide through pretty simple and pretty easy. A little bit harder obviously with the spring pushing down on it, to just push on that because my fingers weren't pushing it in far enough, and you can see the pinhole. So we're going to get that other clip and push it through the pinhole, and then they're clipped on. Right, that is now the pads loaded and ready to go in. That means I can just slide that caliper straight on. Now when you're actually in the car and you just want to change the pads, you can take these out, slide the pins out and just change the pads without taking the caliper off. Really, really useful little bit. So we can get the caliper back on. Okay, so there's been a bit of a break here because you saw that there was a problem with bleed nipple on these second-hand calipers. You can see that video up over in that corner there. But we're now going to put everything back together and bleed the system. So I'm just going to bolt these calipers back on. So we actually changed where the line runs on this now, because we looked at Dan Skippy's 350, who has Brembos as standard. This obviously came with non-Brembos, so we followed the route that he's gone with his. So obviously the line comes in, you see it goes down, has a lovely loop, so it's got plenty of play. And then we use the clamp to there, and then this will roll, take it out, and now quite freely, goes all the way around and starts to do up down here. Alright, now we're coming to the bleeding section of this. Now on these you have to do the furthest away, which is going to be the passenger side rear wheel, then it's going to be the driver side rear wheel, and then passenger side front, right on the inner, then the outer, and on the other side on the front, the inner, then the outer. So we do the inner one first. Hold it up so it doesn't pull on that cable from that line too much, and loosen off the bleed nipple. He says, loosen off the bleed nipple, and cap it off. Put it over our bleed nipple again. Loosen it off. Let the air come out of this one. What really does help with these bleeding systems is a bit of light. So then you can see the air coming through. Put it over the back one, over the back nipple, and loosen that off. Okay, we're going to use our light again so we can see the air coming through. Nipple's loose. That looks good. That's just now fluid. We're going to tighten that one up. Now just the front one, and that should be the brakes bled. We will obviously test these, give them a good pump and see how the pedal feels. There. Turn it off and we'll tighten this up. Okay. That's the brakes bled. Well, that's the system fully bled now. The pedal feels really firm. I've just been out to start bedding the brakes in, and they do feel really good and they feel like they're biting hard. Well, thanks for watching the latest video. please do give us a subscription, and we hope to see you all again very soon.